Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, legends. How the bloody hell are you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy, here with crank.com and with that metalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's a great pleasure that I'm having a chat with Ian Kean, guitarist, vocalist from the bloody hell. His latest album, Nobody Cares, came out November 10th, and we bloody care. How you going, Ian?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks a lot for having me on the show here.
Absolute pleasure, man. For the uninitiated and people who haven't heard of you, can you tell us a little bit about who the bloody hell are, about your sound and style as well?
Sure. Well, we like to call ourselves a catchy occult rock band, and we're from Halifax, Nova Scotia. We put out our debut album in 2018. Went over really, really well, spawned 6 singles, 6 music videos, a couple award nominations and all that. So then during the COVID pandemic, we went back into the studio and had to do it one by one, which was weird because of the gathering limits and such. But during the pandemic, we cranked out our second album, which was just released last month.
Yeah, well, I think it took about 3 years or something like that, but that's not surprising because the whole world kind of went through a whole lot of crap. And for you guys as being a band kind of recently getting together, I know you've all done other projects and played in other bands, but with the bloody hell, when that formed, you're saying it hit really well. You're like, yeah, look, we're going to get rolling on this. And the whole world kind of shut out. Kind of probably would have hit you guys pretty hard as well.
Yeah, it certainly did. So we had like many studio sessions that were booked and then got canceled and then rebooked. And then normally when we record, we like to do it live off the floor to catch our live sound, and then we'll do overdubs after. But with this particular record, because of the gathering limits, we had to go in just whose ever turn it was and the engineer. So we had to do everything piecemeal, a little outside of our comfort zone, but it still turned out great. It yielded great results. It did take almost 3 years to get it together and to get it going, because we wanted to wait until we could gig on it properly and promote it properly. So we had to wait for all the restrictions and stuff and for bars to open back up. So yeah, it was a long time in the making, but it's out now, and we couldn't be happier with it.
Yeah, well, you did drop a couple of singles through the last couple of years as well. It's not like there wasn't anything coming out as well. There was there was a cover, that Black Sabbath cover I watched just recently over on the YouTube channel as well. Yeah. So I think the first 2 singles, which we'll talk about first, man, was the When You're Gone and Nobody Cares About America Anymore. First, tell us about the When You're Gone one, because the whole, man, Catchy has this album. Tell me about that When You're Gone.
So When You're Gone was kind of a song that we've been kicking around for a while. And I don't know if you watched the video or not, but the video was nominated for a Canadian Independent Music Video of the Year. We worked with a fantastic stop motion artist named Diane Lindo out of British Columbia, Canada. And she really brought the song to life in the video and captured exactly the vibe we were going for. Overall, the song is kind of about how, even though you are in a relationship and you're fighting and things are breaking up, you try to remember the good things. So I won't forget, even though right now I wish we never met, but I won't forget you when you're gone is kind of the hook of the song. So, personal lived experience. That's something I went through, and I tried to put it, try to convey the story in song, and the video as well helps convey the story really well.
Exactly. Very relatable. I think most people in the world can relate to that track as well, and a lot of tracks on this album, as you're saying, personal real life experience from not only yourself but the whole band as well, and the tracks are just bloody, they do kind of hit as well. Not only the When You're Gone, Hideaway, I love that cover too, you've done too, the Modernettes. I hadn't heard of them, dude. I want to mention not only that cover you've done, but you also were in a Canadian punk cover as well, the Punk Canada Volume 1, which features a whole stack of Canadian artists. Is it doing covers of Canadian punk bands?
Yeah. So that was really cool. That was another good project we were able to work on during the pandemic while we couldn't gig and we were trying to get everything finished with the album. A fella named Paul Gout reached out to me. He's from the band Ripcords, which is a famous Canadian underground punk band. They've been around since the 90s. And he just said, hey, we're putting together a compilation. It's going to be 16 bands from 16 cities across Canada. and they're gonna be covering bands from the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So pretty much, bands from 2000 plus covering bands from pre 2000. And we were lucky to represent Halifax and Nova Scotia on that compilation. And with the Modernettes cover, Barbara, who were Vancouver punk legends way back in the day. I think that song came out in 1981. So, but it was perfect for our style, perfect for our sound. It's always been a song that I loved, and I always felt that band was really underrated. So, if I can get a couple more people to hear our version and then go back and check them out, they have a lot of great songs and stuff. And again, I feel that they were really underappreciated in the conversation about great Canadian punk bands. We wanted to shed a little light on that. So we reached out to the members of that band, and they were ecstatic about it and super happy about it. And then we decided to throw it on the album as well.
And that's the cool thing about these compilations. The track you did do, of course, is Barbara, but that's the cool thing about, in particular, I'm talking about this compilation. Like for someone like myself over here in Australia, like I've heard a lot about the punk scene here in Australia, but in other countries, It was really hard to check out, especially before this thing people called the fucking internet and cameras. It was a lot harder to go check out the underground scene in whatever country, but now through the one of positives of this, we're able to do that. You hear a compilation like that and okay, I've got to go back and check out the originals. Who's a couple other Canadian punk bands that we should be checking out as well, man, that you think?
Just from the Maritimes alone, there's the follow-ups are really good. Squander, they're also from Halifax. They're really good. The Whiskey Shits are good. There's all kinds of them. The Yeahs, all the cool thing about the compilation is that you're not getting 16 bands that you need to check out. You're getting 32 bands you need to go check out, right? So luckily with the internet and everything, you can find most of those underground bands, the original versions and stuff. You can find them online. So that was kind of one of the requirements that Paul wanted to put across. He didn't want us to cover gob songs or punk bands that kind of made it or whatever. He wanted it to be really underground to kind of give light into some of those bands that didn't get the exposure of the internet and such. So
yeah, very good.
There's lots of great bands. The Ripcords themselves, the band that put it all together, fantastic punk band. They just toured around with Dayglow Abortions, another famous
Abortions are good. I've actually interviewed Murray from Dayglow Abortions, and then I also had a chat with Blind Mark as well. He recently dropped his solo album as well. Bloody cool dude. Yeah, Murray was really cool to chat with, man. He was just one of those guys that you could just sit there and listen to him talk the whole bloody time.
He's lived a life for sure.
And that's what I was saying. It was good for me being here in Australia and learning about bands like the Dayglow Abortions and the underground punk scene. And, not only them, but bands like yourself coming up. Because I remember I actually was saying before we jumped on the camera here that I got your self-titled LP, man. And I cranked the fuck out of that, dude. I really, personally, I enjoyed the heck out of that, man. And I put it in my car, man, and cranked the bloody hell out of it. And you're saying that you recorded that live all together, eh?
Yeah, we did that one live off the floor with overdubs. So most of the leads and stuff were overdubbed.
Yep.
Most of the vocals though were done from the original track, and the drums, rhythm guitars, and bass were all done live off the floor.
Yeah, it has that punk sound, but you've also got kind of, as you said, like this really rock sound to it, but there's a whole lot of different influences in there. And your voice, I don't know if people haven't heard your voice, they need to go hear it, man. You got a great voice to it. I think that's one of the things that kind of caught me, as you were saying, in kind of some of the promos I've been getting. It's like George Thorogood kind of mixed, a little bit of this with some punk. But tell me a little bit about some of your influences, man.
I get a lot of Lemmy and Tom Waits,
dude,
kind of that stuff. I always like to say we're what would happen if George Thorogood sang for the Misfits, but all the songs were written by Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Or I like to say we're what would happen if the Beatles, the Misfits, Motorhead, and Nirvana were all the same band.
Yeah, well, I'm fucking in.
yeah, exactly. So we try to be hard and aggressive and impactful, but we also I also love melodies and storytelling and stuff like that. So we're just as much the Beatles as we are Motorhead, kind of in our influences, right? So
Yeah, unreal songwriters, take it as you want. I remember talking, I think some death metal. I can't remember which death metal band it was, but hard as fuck. And he said, man, go to the Beatles. Songwriters go from there. No worries, dude. So you definitely can't go wrong with that. Can I talk about the Nobody Cares About America track, man? That's really bloody cool. I love the start, whatever happened to Peace and Love, and just the whole vibe to it, man. Is with a lot of tracks on with your collection, it's very hooky and kind of grabs you, and you can sing along to it. By the second time you're hearing it, you're like fucking bopping away, cranking it up and singing along as well. So tell us about that track.
So that one kind of started, I worked as a bartender for a while during the 2016 presidential election in the United States, which was like, even living in Canada, we couldn't avoid it. So we used to have TVs on at the bar. So when I would come on shift at 5 o'clock, the news would be on. And right away, you would get the heated political conversations right away. So I always tried to dissuade, you're at a bar to have fun and socialize, not to fight with the guy next to you.
Yeah, well, politics and religion should be fucking two things that are not discussed in a bar. I'd done bartending as well for Ian, and it's one of the things I wanted to put up in the bar. No politics, no religion in this bar.
Yeah. So the saying "nobody cares about America anymore" is how I used to like deflect. You know what I mean? If people would be really heated, I'd be like, nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares about America anymore. And then I would change the channel, right? Like to get the, nobody cares anymore, and then turn it off. So it kind of started as a joke that way, and a way to diffuse kind of heated political situations. And then once I wrote the riff for it, it all kind of came together. And then I kind of just like, what are some famous American tropes? Like, the peace and love movement. Nobody cares about that. Like whatever happened doesn't matter. In God we trust. And, we all want to be like the stars on TV and that kind of stuff. So once it all came together, it actually turned into probably our most aggressive song. But I do want to state that to me, it's an anti-political song. It's radically indifferent is what it is. Like,
that's what I was going to say. You take the title and you go, oh yeah, they're like, but you actually listen to the tracks and the meaning to it. As you're saying, it's a very anti-political, where you can take that America out of it and put just about any fucking country into that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That song statement, because it was the same here in Australia. It just kind of went crazy at that fucking time. So it says nobody cares about America, but nobody cares about politics anymore. Nobody cares about this bullshit, because we're all starting to switch on to see how they've just manipulated for the dollar. And at the end of the day, the corporations that are ruling the fucking politicians at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And another little interesting story about that. So we put that song out in December of 2020. And I was doing a radio interview much like this, with a guy from Florida on January 6th, as he was watching like the Capitol being stormed or whatever. And it was, so I'm interviewing about that song, and he's like going absolutely mental about like what's happening at the Capitol and stuff. So it was a bizarre thing for sure. But
some iced earth in the background or something.
Yeah, exactly. Poor guy. So yeah, the response to it has been great though. People really gravitate to that song, and they connect with it.
1.8 thousand views or something, I think, just on YouTube alone.
So it's is a song that was really good for us for sure. It was a little more hard-edged than most of the stuff we write, but it's a song that a lot of people have connected with for sure.
Oh, definitely. And the 1.8 thousand views, at least half of you can go sub on YouTube as well. Go support the bloody hell.
Yeah, please.
Really
please
great
do.
band.
Check out. I would recommend anyone to check out our music videos, because we put a lot of time and energy into our music videos, and we consider them almost as important as the songs themselves, to have that visual concept backing up the music and the lyrics and stuff. So I would recommend anyone who likes our sound to go check out our music videos for sure.
Yeah, definitely jump over to YouTube, give you guys a sub. You definitely need more subs on there. And Bandcamp. I love platforms like Bandcamp. You can go head over and grab that Punk Canada Volume 1, the Nobody Cares, the singles, the bloody hell, the self-titled one I was talking about as well. Tell us a little bit about the intro and outros on that, man, because really, really bloody nice stuff to start it with.
Our lead guitar player, James Densley, is an amazing piano player as well. And I just asked him, I said, hey, would you be interested in making a little intro and outro thing to the album? And he, of course, was up for it. His only stipulation was that he had to name it, and As Above, So Below is what he wanted to name it. And that was his only stipulation, was that he gets to name it. And I said, yeah, of course, man, whatever you need. So
great too, when you put the album, it's like As Above, So Below, but there's so many different meanings with that phrasing as well.
Yeah, exactly. And really good bookending the album. James is a very spiritual guy. So he holds a lot of weight in that saying and stuff. So I just asked him if he wanted to whip up a piano thing. And I said, literally, you can make it 8 minutes long if you want. You can make it 18 seconds long if you want. I really want you to have full reign over what you think should start and end the album. And that's what he made. So he wanted to do the same chord progression twice and make it a little bit of variance between the intro and the outro. So he did a fantastic job, and we're stoked on it. Our self-titled album also starts with a piano piece by James as well. So it's probably a trend we'll continue, to be honest.
Yeah, when I'm listening to albums, especially new albums, I'm saying albums, people, because you can still listen to whole albums. It's really good. I put them on repeat, so I'll listen to the album, then it'll come back through to the end. And it's really nice how it goes from So Below, As Above, and you can kind of just, it flows in together. So people, you can have a couple of listens at once. It's really sits well. And one track I do want to talk about, and I can't not talk about it, is G, man. I can't get enough saxophone, dude. I love it in death metal. I love it in black metal. I love it anywhere I can get a little bit of saxophone. Really cool. Tell us about that track.
So that was a song that we had been kicking around for a while, and we weren't sure it was going to make, because it had vocals at one point. And we weren't, particularly me, I wasn't happy with the vocals on it. I couldn't get it to the point where I was happy with it, and I didn't want to put it on the album if it wasn't awesome, kind of thing. So we weren't going to put it on the album. And then 10 years ago or so, I used to play the drums in bands, and I had played in a rockabilly band with my friend Adam Nelson, and he was saxophone player in that band. So I went out and had a beer with him, and he said, if you ever looking for saxophone on anything, man, like, give me a shout. I'd love to get back in the studio and get back to playing. So I said, you know what? I think I have a song where you would fit perfectly with the saxophone. So that song is such a left field kind of song for us. It's not punk rock and aggressive, and it's not 200 BPM or anything like that. It's a slow driving riff with a lot of cool atmospheric elements, and then the saxophone was just the nice little icing on the cake for it. So the saxophone kind of mimicked what the vocal line used to be. So he kind of came in and he played not the exact same melody, but the same melody that the vocal line used to have for that song. And we just took the vocals completely out. And we said, you know what, let's just let the saxophone shine through. And I love where it sits in the album. It's the longest song on the album, and it's the middle of the album. So for a minute, you almost forget what we sound like.
I love it, dude. It really does for me. Like, the people that are going to listen to it, like, they're obviously going to know the bloody hell and know the sound. It's not someone who's just randomly going to probably grab this track. If you do, you rock. But it's like you're listening to a whole album and you get to that point. I love when albums do it. It's kind of, you have this moment of total introspection. Like, you're rocking away. You got the As Above, you start with that piano. Then you got Hideaway when you go on that Barbara, that cover. And it's kind of, you're rocking. Then you have this moment with G and the saxophone. You're like, wow, man, when I first heard it, it's like, what the fuck? This is cool, man. Like, as I was saying, I really enjoy the sax, but you have this moment of introspection where albums, and I love when artists and bands do it, especially because they've got the thought of doing an album. It's not just a compilation of singles. They've got it set that you do have these moments of introspection. As you said, you kind of forget you're listening to the bloody hell, but you don't. For me, it's just, once you're connected to the music, it's kind of, as you're saying, spiritual. For me, that's the closest I get to a spiritual experience. So you're lost in the music, and then that comes on and you just kind of get lost in that for a moment as well, and then it comes back with bang, nobody cares about America again.
Yeah.
Anymore.
So that was a very conscious choice to put the most aggressive song after that one. Because of that, because it's such a left field kind of song, and it's slow and winding, and it's got the really moody saxophone and the absolute tear jerker guitar solo, and really cool bass line, and everything about it is really left field for our sound. It's not what we normally sound like and what we typically sound like. So there's been times where I've been listening to the album through, and it's like, once you get 3 or 4 minutes into that song, you kind of forget that we're an aggressive punk rock band. And then once it's over, we go right back to the aggression. So,
but that's important to push yourself as an artist as well. You don't just want to be going, okay, this is the first album we made. We're going to make 10, 20 fucking albums of the same thing. Yeah. For you, it definitely would. It's good to push yourself as a musician, as an artist, and for people like me to check that out and hear that and go, fuck, damn, man, that's cool. So
yeah, and again, a lot of people have commented on how much they really like that song as well. So and how much of a surprise it is, kind of out of nowhere in the album, which is like, mission accomplished.
Yeah. So the bloody hell, you probably don't have much planned for the rest of the year because it's almost ending. What do you got on the cards for 2023? Can you say much or?
Yeah, we're actually filming a music video for Hideaway tomorrow. And
dude, I was gonna mention Hideaway because that track's catchy as fuck too. I'm sitting there thinking, man, you got to do a clip for that one. So it's good you're doing that one because that's a good track to go with.
Yeah, so we're doing that tomorrow, and then we have a couple more of the cover videos live in our jam space coming out. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna do Born to Be Wild. We do a nice little punky version of Born to Be Wild, and then we're gonna do Running with the Devil as well.
There you go. So another reason you got to go sub to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. So those will be coming out, and we're gonna keep putting out those covers kind of periodically, just to keep content on the channel and to have some fun and pay homage to some of our heroes and stuff like that. And then we're going to start in the new year. We're going to start demoing for the new album.
Nice.
And we have a string of shows for the spring and summer lined up. So hopefully it'll be a pretty busy year. Hopefully we can get our album nominated for some of the awards and stuff that go on around here and take place in some of the industry events and stuff like that. Some summer festivals, we'll keep plugging away and just keep rocking.
There you go, people. Get along, like, subscribe to all the platforms, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, social, all that social shit. Definitely helps people to get over and buy albums off of Bandcamp. It's always great to have those streams, but for artists like yourself, it's and for every artist in the world, I was chatting to Beyond the Black, they're huge as well. It does help to buy merch and support the bands because
absolutely
it all goes back into paying for more albums, paying for tours, paying for stuff that's coming back to you people anyway.
It's not an easy gig, that's for sure. So
it's the labor of love. I understand, even from my side of things, mate. It's all a fucking labor of love, and
absolutely
crazy metalheads, crazy punk people. That's why we do it.
It's all worth it when you see somebody in France bought an album on Bandcamp, or someone in Australia bought an album on Bandcamp. It's like, oh fuck, I didn't waste the last 6 years of my life. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and the music's connecting with someone all the way over on the other side of the world. These, as I was saying, it's relatable. A lot of these tracks, I could sit there and go, fuck, man. I did. I sat there and go, damn, I feel that track. Damn, I feel that as well. And that,
Yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely
I'm glad
right.
to hear that it resonates with you.
Yeah, man, really, really enjoying Nobody Cares. Everybody's got to get that one and the first one, self-titled LP. You also got to grab that Punk Canada Volume 1. Go buy it all over on Bandcamp as well as stream it. The neighbors are going to want to hear them all. Crank it up really loud. Ian, do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, my friend?
Well, of course, thank you to you for sure for taking the time to speak with us here. And I'm really glad that you digged the new album, and your kind words are very appreciated. Saying thanks to John, our publicist, for connecting us there for sure. And, to anybody that has ever visited our Bandcamp or picked up an album or bought some merch or anything, like, means the world to us, man. And I hope that we can continue to put out things that people will love and relate with in the future. So look forward to more from us, and we'll look forward to getting it out to you guys.
Killer. Cheers. The bloody hell. Crank it up. Cheers, Ian. We'll catch up with you in the new year, my friend.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oi, you're tuned in to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.